We're gonna start. Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so this took a little bit to schedule this meeting. I apologize for that, but it's
I'll take the blame, I'll take the
Yes,
blame.
it's all Ahmed. First off, I think I'd like to start with an introduction of everybody. I'll start it off, and feel free to say whatever you want. Sean Cotton, I moved to Grosse Pointe Park in 1991. I went to South, graduated class of 95. I've lived in the farms for 15 years. I have one son at South and another at Brownell. I have been a part of branding campaigns in the past at a company I used to work with, and I found them to be incredibly powerful. They clarify what your brand is, they help internally and externally, and I'm excited to start this process.
Sierra Donaven, Grosse Pointe Farms City Council. I am also a reverend. I'm a retired federal agent with the Justice Department. I moved here in 2011, and as I state, I hit the ground running because volunteer service is at the core of everything that I do. And I'm just happy to be here and do what I can for the good of this entire communities in Harper Woods.
Amen. God
Amen.
bless you.
Yes.
God bless you. My name's Ahmed Ismael, and oh my gosh, I started here in 3rd grade with Fenton over at Popard, hanging out, and ended up going to Parcells, and at the time we had just the high school. So we ended up at the high school, and our grade was the first grade out of the high school that went to North, and I was in the first graduating class at North in 1970, before most of you were born. And I started in the camera business and still go to work in the same building on Mack Avenue, and I'm blessed. Everything we have is because of the community. I'm ecstatic to see all of you here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. My name is Ryan Ermanni, graduate at Grosse Pointe South High School. Go Blue Devils, big win against North last week. I work in media, and I'm happy to be on this branding commission. I have two kids, 8 and 6. They do not go to the school district, but I am very happy to be a part of this.
We're gonna fix it.
And very happy to be a part of this. And I think that communication is one of the most crucial parts to life, and especially when you talk about community members and the schools, because without successful schools, then there is no community, in my opinion. So I'm happy to be a part of this.
Hello everyone, my name is Maggie Jackson. I am a lifelong Grosse Pointer, live in the city, went through Grosse Pointe Public Schools K through 12, Mayor, Pierce, and then South in 2011, so hard to believe. I currently work in marketing at Henry Ford Health, and when Michelle told me about this opportunity, we're both Grosse Pointers. The schools are the core of our community, so just wanted to jump on the chance.
Maggie and I worked together twice.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I'm Michelle Martin. I live in the woods. I've got 2 boys who go to Parcells, and we've lived here probably about, 16 or 17 years or so. I have about 25 years experience in marketing and communications. I worked in agencies, I've worked in-house. I'm currently right now at Corewell Health, but at one point I worked at 3 different agencies, I think. Most recently as the Director of Business Development. So I've done a lot of RFPs and responding to RFPs and things like that, so it's good to be here.
And I'm Ginny Jeup. I'm on the school board. I serve as the secretary. I've been here 23 years. We moved here in 2000. 5 of my family members went through Richard, Brownell, South. Yeah, and that's about it. I have about 10 years in sales and marketing.
Hi, I think I'm the longest name in the group. My name is Blagica Bottigliero. I did not go to Grosse Pointe schools. Actually went to Chippewa, where Webmaster also went, so kudos. 90 for Big Red Bread. My 2 children at Brownell right now, 8th and 5th, so it makes drop off and pick up a lot easier. I run a digital marketing agency, and I also am the co-founder and head of marketing for a beverage event company along with my husband. So throughout my career, I came back to Michigan. I spent 20 years in Chicago, where I worked in digital marketing, advertising, and media. And I just wanted to be a part of this to also help with the RFP process, but also make sure that people who want to market our community really understand what the community is about, past, but also present, and where we need to go in terms of where our kids need to be to compete on a global stage. So I'm happy to be on the committee to assist with that.
I'm Christian Fenton. I'm the interim superintendent or acting superintendent or pretend superintendent. Call me whatever you want. I've lived all my life. I worked for 37 years for the district, and then they pulled me back and for, I hope, a temporary stint.
Just when you think you're out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Godfather 3.
Right.
Call me back.
That's gonna be your new title, Chris, Godfather.
I'm old enough.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Stanley. I'm the Director of Learning Technology. This is my 7th year here in the district. I'm a parent here as well. I have 4 kids, 2 at Parcells, 2 at Monteith. So we're doing the work of bringing our kids into the district. I married an East Sider, so I think that's gonna make me a lifelong East Sider forever, which I'm totally cool with. Growing up on the west side, we were used to driving about 55 miles per hour on Ford Road. I like driving 35 and no faster than that, so happy to be here. Love it here in Grosse Pointe, and it's just a wonderful place to be.
My name is Brian Jaeger. I'm the district webmaster. I've been here since 2018. That's about it. I don't have much to say. Hello, everyone. My name is Ted Coutlish. I'm the vice chair of this committee. Sean is the chair of the committee. Lifelong, mostly Grosse Pointe resident. Graduated from Monteith, Brownell, and Grosse Pointe North. Distinguished alumnus of Grosse Pointe North. We're gonna get you next year. I am also someone who has a child with special needs in this district, so it's near and dear to me, the success of this district. I'm resident of Grosse Pointe Shores, chair of the Grosse Pointe Shores Communications Committee. I am in marketing communications for a little university in our area that you might guess what that might be. I do marketing communications for the College of Engineering there. I had a long career, overlapped with Michelle many times, in education marketing. Very excited to have you all here. I'm very excited to have this committee kick off. It's not Sean's fault. I was in Greece for a couple of weeks, so there's a delay. Sean took the bullet, but it's really me that delayed this.
It's all Ted's fault.
It's all my fault. I just wanted to say one thing about this group. So we interviewed 34 people for this group, individually. So we talked to every one of them on the phone, as well as other people, and the decisions were really difficult. I had enormous, wonderful conversations with many of you, and Sean did as well. It was hard to decide. We had a lot of interest from the community, and you were all super qualified. We are so blessed as a community to have this many people with this many experiences, this many backgrounds, and this much interest. And those conversations were really dynamite. So I want to thank you again all for coming, and really appreciate you volunteering your time tonight.
I'm Lisa Schrage. I am not from the area. I'm from Madison Heights. I graduated from there, went to Western Michigan, and then met my now husband Brian Schrage, who's from here. So most Grosse Pointers come back, and so Brian came back, and I came in from Royal Oak. And I worked in retail, commercial retail, real estate for Pets Place Plus. That was my last job. I really loved it, but before that I was in accounting for McDonald's. Done a lot of different things, but I am very passionate about volunteer work. I coach here a really large fundraiser called the Derby for Kids, and we raise funds for Adolescent Addiction Recovery Center, which we just opened in Troy, Michigan at the Children's Hospital. So that's my passion. I've been on it for 4 years. It takes a lot of my time, but currently I sub in the district. I mostly sub at Defer, where my son is at. He's 8, he's in 2nd grade. I have 2 girls that will be entering at Defer in kindergarten in the fall, so I'll have them all at one school, which is always exciting. But I'm just honored to be here, and thank you for the great conversations we had, and I know I will bring a lot to the table. I'm learning. I don't know much about branding, but I am a sponge, and I love it. Yeah, so I am happy to be here, so thank you, and I look forward to meeting all of you.
Are you related to Therese?
I am, Therese, yeah, yes, she's great, yeah.
Are you related to John Schrage?
Yeah,
No way.
it's my uncle, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of them.
Hi,
Yeah, it's one of those families.
I'm Jodie Randazzo. I am the mom of a 9th grader at South and the mom of an 8th grader at Brownell. I have taught in the district for 23 years and currently am the principal at Perry Elementary School. I did not grow up in Grosse Pointe, and we moved our boys here 4 years ago. That's the decision we ever made.
Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Taylor Barczyk. I've been in the district since 2010, and I teach family and consumer science at Brownell, and I've also taught at South and a little bit at North. And I'm really excited because as the only teacher, right, on the committee, I'm excited to have that voice. And I mean, this is truly just the best place to be teaching. It's the best group and community, and I'm really passionate about that because of the families that choose to live here with all the like-minded ideals. And my daughter goes to Defer, and I just think, like, branding committee, why do we not have a drone on like the morning drop off in the fall? Like, why is that not happening? Because I'm like, am I living in a snow globe? Because what is this like amazing, beautiful place? And I just think this place is wonderful, and I'm excited to be here. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. I mean, this is a fantastic committee. All right, let's jump right to the branding presentation by Ted.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for being here again. So we're gonna do just a very brief primer on branding. So for some of you in the media and marketing, this will be a little bit of this will be a little bit of things you know, and for those who aren't living branding, I'm gonna go into teacher mode. I actually teach branding at the university level as well as live it as a working professional. So we're gonna go through this and explain what this is about. So here's our brief agenda. And this is what we're gonna go through. And we will go through it. So what is a brand? Let's start with that real quick. And I did premise, Sean, that I would run through these slides, so forgive me for running through them. But if you have any questions, please feel free to just raise your hand and I'll try my best to answer them. So a brand is not these things. Most people think a brand is about slogans and letterheads or increasing your student enrollment, increasing your brand share. That's not. It's all of those things and much more. It's really the entire entity of an organization. So without an effective brand, which we do not have, this is what happens to any organization, whether it's in profit, nonprofit, whatever organization you're in. Competitors will define you. So people have been talking about Grosse Pointe Public Schools, and that's defining us, right? People will chip away at our market share. So we've seen that. We've lost 2,000 students over the last couple of years. That is certainly had a huge impact on the budget. We will continue to lose our relevance in the community. We will continue to drop the student enrollment, close schools, which we've lost 2 schools, closures. We've laid off employees. We deferred maintenance. We've cut programs. Rinse and repeat without an effective brand campaign. This is just the cycle. It's not a premise, it's just happening, it's going to continue to happen in both. So branding really is a strategic investment in our future. So without an effective brand, we will not be among the choice set of students, they'll find other places to go. We will not have a clear and compelling voice in our community. We will continue to struggle with identity and reputation, and we'll lose our income and financial stability. So, a brand is the core identity that can make or break any organization. So what is a brand exactly? Well, it's a lot of things. It's what you stand for, it's your stake in the ground, it's what distinguishes you from competitors. It's your reason for being. It's everything you do. It involves perceptions and overall value, and it's integrated into every business practice. In essence, a brand is how you make people feel. So what effective brands do? They become a rallying point for any organization. And we've seen that. There's tens of thousands of examples out there of companies, of industries, of school districts, of universities, community colleges that have launched effective brand campaigns and have done really well with them. And I certainly come from several of them that I work for that have launched effective brand campaigns, and they've impacted everything they do. Wayne State's brand campaign was very successful. University of Michigan, extremely successful. Eastern Michigan's True and New campaign I started in 2011, very successful. So it frames every conversation, right? It impacts every strategy. It becomes the blueprint of your organizational strategy. It's emotional. It drives positive employee affinity. So employees feel better about the district, right? Staff feel better about the district. The parents feel better about the district. We have beautiful students who are here today to help us and give up their time. They will be impacted, and all of the beautiful students throughout the district will be impacted. It strengthens our organizational behavior and culture, increases our visibility, awareness, and reputation, not only in our community, but outside our community. So this is the missing element that we don't have today. So what are brands about? They're not about the organization, not about buildings, it's about people. It's not about products or services or education. It's not about the organization itself. It's about how we look at our people. It's about narrowing, so not being everything to everyone. It's about clarifying things through the noise and defining and differentiating us from others, and about building, growing our image and reputation, about loyalty, building trust and advocacy. So effective brands today are more effective and more important than ever before. So why do we buy brands? Well, because of the quality. So if you buy a McDonald's Big Mac in Tokyo, or you buy it in Los Angeles, California, you're gonna find the same exact quality. There's no difference. Some brands become famous, and so famous they become the category. So you order a soft drink, you order a Coke, right? That's Coca-Cola. And you reach for something to heal your hand, and you reach for a Band-Aid, which is the brand. So you can see down the list, these brands have become so successful, so incredibly successful, they become the actual industry. So again, a brand is how you make people feel. These three questions we will answer through this brand campaign and through this brand committee. What do we do for people? How do we do it differently? And how do people feel about us? So that's it. That's what a brand campaign does. There's a lot of people that don't understand what branding can do. In essence, this is what branding will do for the district. So here's a couple of branding campaign case studies. There's a lot of them out there that have been really successful. If you look at the numbers behind the campaign, enrollment, donations, participation, all the numbers went up. So they work. Okay, so I want to spend some more time on these next two slides. So through the normal open RFP process that the school district uses, we, as a district and a committee, will choose and contract with a single firm to launch a data-driven and effective brand campaign for the district, which is an historic first for us. We've never done this in the history of the school district. So what you're doing here, this collective work, is historic. We, as a group, will help the district review and choose the firm that's going to move forward with the brand campaign to research, plan, and execute an effective K-12 brand campaign for the district. So this is our charge. This subcommittee is charged with and expected to review and evaluate the RFP that we're going to show you, the bids that come in, and we're gonna make a recommendation. We're not gonna make a decision on which one. That's up to Chris and his fine team and, the board president and their fine team and the board. So we're gonna recommend, but we're not gonna choose. So the firm's gonna be chosen, then the firm will complete its work. And for those of you who are very familiar with brand campaigns, I know Michelle is, what happens is they come back with a brand brief. And a brand brief is just that, it's a brief that explains the methodology, the research, what they went through, all of the assets they used to build their case. And then it includes a lot of messaging and a lot of phases in the timeline for the campaign. But it also offers tagline options. So again, the brand is not the tagline. That's just a small piece of the brand campaign. But there will be tagline options for us to review and suggest and recommend to the district and the board which one we like. And so we're big. This committee is charged with a lot to do. And then after the brand campaign launches, we're gonna be the advocates, we're gonna be the ambassadors, we're gonna be the cheerleaders for the new brand campaign, and we're gonna evaluate it and give our evaluation to the district. So Sean and I have had several conversations about this committee, and we feel like it's maybe one, if not the most important committee in the district, so no pressure. But we have an enormous charge ahead of us to plan and help launch the district's first ever brand campaign. So, what does that come with? Well, if you're a teacher, you gotta have a homework assignment, right? We can't just walk away without homework assignment, right? Yes?
What's your homework? You said you're the
Thank you.
teacher
I
now.
appreciate it.
Good lead in, good lead in.
Professor Coutlish. All right, so, here's the brand exercise. It's a comparison game. We can pick anything. We can pick an animal, we can pick anything that you know. I just chose an automobile, because most of us have automobiles, if not multiple automobiles. So, pick an automobile. What type of vehicle do you pick? Make and model that is the school district. So, when you think of the school district, is it a Cadillac? Is it a Ford Flex? Is it something else? What kind of district is the district? So we're thinking about the whole district. We're not thinking about just south. We're thinking north, any of the schools, all of them, and everything that entails. So pick an automobile that is most like the district. What are the characteristics of that vehicle? I'm not asking you for the characteristics of the district. I'm asking you for the characteristics of that automobile that is like the district. What's the brand personality? What does that make you feel? So, if the district is like car A, why? And so we want you to think about it. We don't want you to answer it tonight. We want you to go home and really put some thoughts into why you chose that vehicle. Be specific, write down details. Come back at the next meeting with your chosen car and the reason that it's most like this district.
Are you gonna share this with us?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask the same question.
Is what?
Are you gonna share the presentation, the PDF?
Sure, it's online. It's on Google and it's access. All we have to do is share the link. So, how do you wanna do that, Sean?
Deb has it, and I'll make it.
Just hyperlink it to the
yeah,
agenda.
Yeah, it's just, it's an open link, you don't have to have special access to it, but we can make it available to you. And we have all the email addresses, so I think that went around, so we'll make it available, so you can have this as well as the rest of the PowerPoint, because I know you're gonna be glued to the rest of the PowerPoint presentation. It's such a great presentation, I'm sure you're gonna be excited to just continue to review it. So there's something wonderfully non-threatening about comparing our district to a vehicle or any brand, which may reveal powerful new insights. So that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for necessarily the chosen car, but the reasons behind why you feel our district is that vehicle. So that is why it's so important, because we want to know what you think of the district going into this campaign. And that's going to be very important. So what kind of car and what are the characteristics of that car? What makes up our district? You say it's a wonderful, beautiful, snow globe type community, but what kind of car represents that? So good
That's
answer.
very difficult.
I know it is, That's why it's in a homework assignment.
I'm obviously picking a minivan, but we
Could
already
be,
figured that out.
could be.
I just gotta figure out
No,
which
it's still a
one.
minivan, that's yours. But again, we're not grading you on this, we just wanna know what you're thinking. So, there's no grades, pick whatever you want. The important thing is the reasoning, not so much the. And I think that concludes my presentation.
What timeline would you expect, Ted, if, you know, there's gonna be some difficulties, you know, with the process that we have with an RFP, but what is a normal timeline for a brand?
Yeah, that's the tough part. So, Michelle will know this answer. Typically, it's 6 to 9 months. And 6 is very rough. That's really tight timeframe. So what is involved, and I'll explain why it takes so long, is because typically a firm that we choose to create this will have to put together their research, right? So they're gonna research everything about the district, historical information, documents that we end up giving them about the history, the current state of the community, current state of the district. And then they will put together some additional research. So they're gonna do quantitative and qualitative research. So what is quantitative? Quantitative is mass research, so surveys. They're gonna put together and they're gonna survey. And they're also gonna look at the surveys that we've done through Rebecca before she left in the years prior. Then they're gonna do qualitative research, right? And so those are interviews, focus groups, and then they're gonna put all that together. So they're gonna be interviewing board members, they're gonna be interviewing people from the community, they're gonna be interviewing us as a committee. They're gonna be interviewing every part of the district, teachers, students, parents, alumni, and they're gonna coalesce all that information. So it just takes this huge amount of information, just think of it in a cauldron, and they just put it in, and then they start weaving it around. And then they come up with the brand brief. That's farther down the line. And the brand brief is that coalesce of all those ideas and thoughts and feelings and perceptions about what our district's about. It will include key messages and all of that. From there, we will react to it. We will spend time looking at it, saying, is this right? Does it feel right? So what's at stake? Everything's at stake. One chance to get it right. That's it. One chance. You get it wrong, that's it. You're done. It's one strike. We don't have 3 strikes. It's one strike and out. So they have to spend as much time as possible to make it right. How do we know it's right? What's the measurable? Do you know? I'm asking your teacher. What do you think is right? I won't pick on you anymore. I love picking on you.
Oh, no, that's fine, I know, because
Because
you
you picked on me.
participate.
Okay, so,
Because we understand you.
yes.
Chris
Only
is
one
a,
measure.
teacher,
Yeah.
so is Jodie.
Yeah. Only one measure to get it right. You want to answer?
An increase in enrollment, right?
No,
No?
it's close.
Mhm.
It's a piece of it. It's a small piece of it. The measure to get it right is you look at it and you say, that's it, they got the district. It's feelings. Branding's about perceptions, about feelings. And so you look at it and you say, they got it right. This slogan, messaging, look and feel, logo is right for our district. This is who Grosse Pointe is. And you know it when you see it, and you know it if you don't see it, and the community feels like, oh, they didn't get it right. That's it. So you got it right or you didn't get it right. It's pass fail.
Question for you, thank you for clarifying that.
Sure.
So the brand brief, how many companies are doing this?
So it's one company that will be
One.
working with us, right? So
Okay,
we
so
choose
then-
one company out of many.
When you look at them and you're like, whoa, it's like the mirror of the whole thing, it's right there. That's how you picture it, kinda, that they got it right, like looking at.
You'll know it inside.
Okay,
You'll feel it because you live it every day. You go to school, you teach it, you know what Grosse Pointe's about. So it's not building a brand for the district, it's clarifying a brand for the district. The difference is we're not building anything. We're not building a brand. We're clarifying who we are by multiple conversations, by all this research, surveying, focus groups, interviews. You take all that information, you got it, right? You're gonna have that information. You're gonna have what is our brand based on those conversations. And then if we get it right, which we will, then what happens? Conversations start happening, and the conversation about the district starts changing, and it becomes electrifying. I can tell you from example, Eastern Michigan University, when I got there was a murder and a rape that went national, and it was the worst time to be at Eastern Michigan University, just before I got there. And just a horrible time to be at a university as the leader of marketing communications. So we launched a year later a brand campaign that changed the conversation from Murder You to True EMU, gritty, tough university that people want to go to. So what happened? So donations increased, alumni giving increased, alumni participation increased. We had student enrollment, we had record new student enrollment increase. 12 years later, they're still using True EMU, which is the longest active brand campaign in the history of Michigan, outside of Michigan's really leaders in basketball. But it's the longest active one that's going on. So it's still being used by the university in very effective ways. So it does do what it's supposed to do when it's right for the organization. I've seen it done at the university level, and branding can be all-encompassing, and it can be life-changing. So when I say that, it will impact every business decision that these guys over here do. So what the decisions they make at the district level based on the feeling perceptions of the brand campaign. So I'll give you an example. When I'm at the University of Michigan and we're making decisions based on leaders in best. Is this decision that we have going to show that we are leaders? Is it going to show that we are the best? If it's not, let's not do it. So every decision we make from a business standpoint is impacted by the university stats that we are the leaders and best. Yes, it is arrogant, I acknowledge that, but it does work. It does work on a global scale. So the decision that we make to launch this brand campaign will impact every part of the district, from business to the perceptions and the feelings that we have. We have a great district. This is not about shoring up a district that's in trouble, that's doing bad. This district is a great reputation nationally. It has wonderful alumni. We have an amazing community behind us. Let's clarify our brand, launch the campaign, and then see what I've seen personally happen at the university level, at the district level, and you will be amazed by the results.
Ted?
Apologies. My mind's on money because I had to buy a new dishwasher today and I had to buy a fridge last week, and my car was hit on the hill last week. Parked. I'm fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm
Are you
fine.
in it?
Parked. Yeah, I was in it. Yeah, it's hilarious. It was a weird thing. So I'm also the CFO of my house. So working in branding and launching this sounds uber exciting. But I have to think about long-term contingency and just want to confirm, because I am kind of cheap in my house. So the $50,000 that we had allocated for this, is that to cover the essence of the entire RFP? Meaning for the work to the quant and the qual, just having been in those meetings. I used to work at Motorola and launch phones, and of course that's a different budget. Eastern had a different budget with your donorship and with the endowments and whatnot for a campaign. My concern is, as we pick these agencies and companies in town to roll this out, is $50,000 enough? Because it's hard for me to go back to my community neighbors and say we might need more. Do we know what that $50K is going to encompass from a remit standpoint with what they're supposed to do, and to stay within that and have enough cash to do due diligence on the project? Will we have to think about, as a committee, in the back of our minds, we may have to ask for more? So I just want to prepare myself for that, because I'm in budget mode, spending too much that I want to spend in my own house right now, so it came to mind.
Sure. So you're in marketing, right? So you know that you don't go into marketing, you don't go into presentation, you don't go to the Board of Education and present this without having those figures in mind.
Right, that's
So I do.
That's why I'm
So
little.
we went out and did a bid, and it came back about $34,000 for the brand campaign. from a
So
company.
just to confirm, because I have to get a little detail, is that just the upfront, the campaign, and
Yeah.
after it launches,
Yeah.
that's it? It's like post-launch, there still has to be more, correct? To facilitate?
Yeah, let me answer
Okay.
your first question though. So the other $10,000 was set aside for another effort to better understand why students have left our district.
Okay,
And so that was a different campaign, but it's important as part of the research to effectively launch a brand campaign.
got it.
So it's between 34 and another 10, 44, and in the budget it's 50 to allow for a couple extra thousand.
Okay.
That's just the planning and execution of the brand campaign. Am I correct in those numbers?
Just flat 50? Okay.
Yeah, it's a flat 50, but 34 and 10. So that does not include all the things you're gonna need for a launch of a successful brand campaign. So we'll have to figure that out
Okay.
later, what that is.
Got
Based
it.
on the recommendations, we don't know, because a company would have to come back and recommend, this is what you need also to launch the campaign. But to get us through the first phase, which is this fiscal year, we're not gonna launch a campaign before the next fiscal year. It's probably gonna be in the summer, and
Okay.
likely the next fiscal year. So that would have to be in the next year's budget. Whatever that is, will be based on recommendations that we review on what that might be.
So this is the playbook and the blueprint,
This is
but
the playbook
the
and
guys
the
aren't on the
blueprint.
ice yet.
Yes, this is for planning, researching, and launching the brand campaign.
Okay, thank you.
So when you say launching those, that include the actual assets?
No, so the actual assets, again, will probably be in the next fiscal year because it's gonna be at least 9 months by the time we launch. So I'd be happy if it launches this fiscal year, but by the time, we get around to doing it, it's gonna be, brand campaigns are like construction on your home, right? You say it's gonna take, these construction companies say it's gonna be 9 months, but sometimes it's a little more than that. So I would say in the outset, probably closer to the 9 months than 6 months it's gonna take for this size district to do all that research and launch a brand campaign. But we can't budget ahead for something we don't know what it's
That's
gonna
what I wanted, just to confirm and clarify, as
Yeah.
I was like money on the brain, so thank you, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you, you're welcome. Other questions?
Ted, one of the, did we get it right is really the
Yeah.
question that we'll ask. That answer might be different for different people, did we get it right? I think that's one of the key roles that we're about to play here, and I know in one of your slides, one of the things I believe was indifference or, we can't be all things to all people. I guess what we're charged with is just do what we feel is best for the district, and that answer will be, did we get it right?
Yeah.
But that might not apply to 100% of the residents
It
in the
won't.
city.
But it's a preponderance of the evidence.
Sure.
Right, so more people than not feel that.
Sure.
Look at Carwell Health, right?
Mhm.
They did the brand campaign change for Beaumont, which is very difficult to do a brand campaign change for something that's, around for a long time. Hit it out of the park. I don't know what your measurements are.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
3-year
Right.
rebranding,
Right.
but it's a huge organization.
I don't know what your numbers are, but for me, it's like, you got it right, right?
Yeah.
The commercials, the billboards, the radio ads, the online ads, social media ads, beautiful, really well done. So there's a lot of examples of people getting it right.
Sure.
Some people might look at it and say, oh, that's terrible. Majority will probably say, yes, they got it.
And sometimes initially, as I remember, when I started, the next week they launched, it's literally the next week
Yeah.
was when they showed me, and my first reaction was like, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But I would think too that you, before, it's not just us in here saying, okay, yeah, this feels right, it doesn't, but you will share some of that, right, with some of these other stakeholders, like some of the alumni,
It's all part of it, so
Yeah.
yeah, all stakeholders will be a part of the brand campaign planning and research and launch.
Okay.
We will engage everyone at a very significant and comprehensive level. So we will reach out to everyone that has a stake in the success of our district, and they will be a part of it. And so really, if you do it well, if you do your research well, you're gonna get it right. There's no question. I've never been part of a brand campaign that hasn't gotten it right, because the companies we hired were companies that did it right.
Question for Brian and for Chris, throughout the process of this, is it possible to just add a page on the website that's essentially a status of where the project is? So if any community member has a question about what's up with this brand campaign and this process, Is there a way to have like, you know, when you see people fundraising, it's the temperature, like the,
The
whatever.
dashboard.
Yeah, some kind of dashboard so people can check in to see like, you know, it's this month and they're doing X and they chose a company and the company, anything we can do of that nature to be as
So
transparent
right
as
now,
possible.
how we have it currently set up, not saying that it always has to be this way, is I think right now we have links to all the different subcommittees that are out there. And so this is an ad hoc subcommittee. I don't know if we have a page to it, or Brian, is that right? Or is it?
Google Doc.
Okay, so it's a link to a Google Doc that will then eventually have all the agendas that are out there too. I mean, if we need to create a broader space, Brian always says.
Yes, the answer is always yes.
Yeah, just thinking like.
Really like you, Brian.
We love it, Brian.
You just need more storage.
Just a snapshot of like where people are, so if there's a question and there's no, you know, misinformation, it's just go to this website, here's where they're at, done, that would be so nice.
Yeah, and so, thank you.
Sorry to put you
Great
on the
answer.
spot.
No, that was a great answer. So part of this will be recommendations from the chosen firm. And one of the recommendations going to be guaranteed, improve your website. That'll be the recommendation. And you know, it'll be a huge improvement in what we do in terms of the web. Improve social media. We use the seal as our logo. That is a no-no in marketing, so all my marketing friends on the table know this. You don't use the seal as a logo. You use the seal for proclamations, citations, declarations, diplomas, but you don't use it for everything because it waters it down. So there'll be a recommendation to use and create a new logo. What is the logo gonna be? I don't know. They're gonna come out and create options for us. So they're gonna look at every part of our district. So Brand's just not about new student enrollment, it's not about logos, it's not about taglines, it's about everything that we're doing. So they'll create a design look and feel, typefaces, logos, colors that are not, you know, necessarily south or north colors. So they'll figure out a pattern of colors that, secondary colors, primary colors, third primary colors, have a whole comprehensive view of our color schemes and when to use them and how much percentages. This is very complicated and very detailed in terms of what is being asked of the company to create this campaign and all the recommendations we're gonna have. It's gonna be really changing
Paradigm
everything
change.
we do. It's a paradigm shift in how we do things, our ads, our approaches to ads, how we go about looking at ourselves and everything we do in terms of marketing communications, everything we do in terms of our business decisions, everything we do in terms of signage will be looked at differently. So this will be all encompassing. There'll be lots and lots and lots of recommendations, and there'll be a million things improved about the district. Even things that you didn't think needed improving will be improved.
Ted, I got a question for you.
Sure.
I mean, one of the biggest things that I see coming out of this is, there has to be an attitude adjustment as far as, are we all on board with this? Is it something that, because this goes right down to how you answer the phone, you know?
And I can answer that too. So at Eastern Michigan, we did the brand campaign. Lots of things come through the wash of the surveys in the focus group.
Right.
One of the things that came through was the Eastern Shuffle. And I've said that before to our community engagement committee. And that was that I looked at the research and I said, oh, we got huge, gigantic problems here. Because people get shuffled around. So one department they shuffle, the next department they don't, the next department. This is the Eastern way, right? It happens in a lot of universities.
It had a name at the other place we worked.
Oh, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yep, that happened.
Wayne,
here, too.
they called it.
So we fixed it. So we had a comprehensive mandate and training of all front office staff that said, this is how we're going to do it. If you do not know the answer, do not shuffle them to another department. Get their phone number, get their name, be pleasant, hang up, get the information, then call them back.
There you go.
That's superior customer service. That's true in you, right? You're gonna have a true experience. So we changed a lot of things. There was a lot of things that changed in terms of that came through the wash. There's gonna be things that are coming through that research that we don't know is coming through until we do it. And there might be some good stuff we expect, and there's gonna be some really ugly stuff that comes through. But that needs to look at, because those are the things that are most important to us, because those are the things that we're going to change about the district. Things that we should be changing about the district will come through in that wash. So that's most important, so that's why you do the research. There's a lot of things outside of marketing communications that will be helpful to change, and that will lead to different conversations about, that's what we want to do. We want to change the conversation about the district in a positive way. And not only that, but we're gonna be sharing stories. So we have 2 students here tonight. They might make great stories, who knows? But there'll be a lot of stories. Teachers, telling you right now,
We
there are
got
a lot
stories.
of great stories. They're not being told, right? Because we didn't have the bandwidth to tell them.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
Rebecca did about 5,000 things, and she did them all well, but she didn't have time to run around and do stories, and we're gonna be doing stories. So that'll be part of the recommendations going forward. Teachers, staff, administrators, students, parents that serve on committees, board members, right, doing great things. So we're gonna tell those stories with repetition, consistency, and clarity, and we're gonna put them out there all over the place. We have a connection to the Grosse Pointe News, so we're gonna put some more stories in that. And I guarantee you, one of the recommendations is to have a regular feature and a regular section dedicated to schools in the Grosse Pointe News, maybe even bigger than it is now. So there'll be lots of recommendations that will come through. There'll be lots of business decisions that are changed, and yes, the conversation, based on the totality of all those things that's happening, will change the conversation, just like it did at Eastern Michigan University 13 years ago.
A question for Chris. Chris, this is a services contract, right?
Yeah.
So what's the
We don't
legality?
have to take the lowest price, we have to pick a company that we feel comfortable with,
Okay.
that can provide the best service. There are some dollar limits, but you're already up at, let's say, 35,000, so I would send that, you know, we can do that on our own, but it'd be probably best to have a board approval.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
And Ted, the companies that bid on this, are they national firms, local firms in general?
I would like to open it up to national and local, then you get your best variety of companies to choose from. And to me, the most important part is, have they done it, and have they done it successfully? So the experience, not just someone who does it for any industry and just sort of jack of all trades, but someone who specializes in K through 12 districts and can demonstrate successful, effective brand campaigns. So not only did they launch the campaign, but what are the metrics? I wanna know specifically, what were the metrics they were used to determine whether the campaign was successful? Is it just new student enrollment, was it a giving, was it participation? I wanna see metrics. And I think as a group, we wanna see that. And then we'll help make a recommendation to you and your leadership team of why we chose this firm and the reasons, which is more important, why this firm should be chosen, and it's up to you and the board to decide which firm to go with.
I have a question, Ted.
Yeah, Michelle?
Are we disclosing in the RFP what the budget is for the first phase?
That'd be up to the district.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah,
I don't
generally
think
we
we should.
haven't in there, we kind of let the companies present what it is that they have.
Generally, in a request for quote, you do, in a request for proposal, you don't.
Yeah.
So because in my last job, that's what I did, was I responded to RFPs, and a lot of organizations, we would get an RFP, they wouldn't, disclose the amount, we would go in there, and, we put an RFP, we responded and said this would cost $300,000, and they had $30,000 in their budget.
Right.
So, as someone who's been on that side of it, I would, doesn't hurt to disclose, because then you're getting some of those people, they're not interested. I would agree. Yeah, or even get a range, if possible.
I get the district. Typically, we haven't done it.
I was just thinking about that walking in
Yeah.
today, I think about
You can.
RFPs.
That will eliminate a lot of companies thinking they're gonna come in here and do it for $100,000.
Because there's still this perception on the outside about Grosse Pointe and what it encompasses in terms of financial. So I think to her point, it would be smart to put something quantitative in there about our limits to save everyone's time.
Well, when we request proposals, it's a different animal, but for auditing or, we don't put a price range in. We just see what they bring forth, and then you look at their history, like you said, who they work with, and you narrow them down.
Although, you know what, I would say too, I don't think there's any harm in being transparent for the other reason, is because it has been a
So, again, like somebody who's done that on that side of it, I'd rather just, let's be transparent, this is the budget amount we have, and.
But can I add something? And I'm not in marketing. We're saying that this is for this fiscal year, so we really don't know what that projected amount's gonna be. We're just talking about for this fiscal year, correct? So like,
Well, you could put it out, so there's different phases, supposed to be phase one, so it's the research and planning.
oh, so you're
and-
saying like the
And
range
then-
for phase one?
Yeah, and then, you know, you would put something in there, because this is, a lot of times when you do an RFP too, there's like a question and answer period, so people ask questions, and then you respond to them, and the questions and the answers are public. But you could put it in there, this is not covering the actual development of the assets, those to come to be determined likely, but not always, it could be the same firm creating the assets, or it could be a different firm, because they already have the brand guidelines, so somebody else could, in theory, go ahead and create the creative, right?
Yeah. So what I think we're initially saying is, there's a couple ways of looking at it. So one, if you don't include the amount, then people are guessing. And then the companies that will bid on this, they submit questions to purchasing. And the first question that they will submit is, how much is in the budget? They will always ask that. Every company wants that.
Yeah,
And
no,
you-
I was just clarifying initial versus like the duration of the
Yeah,
branding.
but the company that's hired is not necessarily doing the duration. They're just doing the planning research. They might not be selected to carry it forward.
I understand.
That's a different set of thinking. Is this the best company to move it forward? And it might be, or it might not be.
And is that usually a company or is it often internal?
Always external. Cause
Or
it's-
for the company that brings it forward, when you're talking about actually operationalizing the brand?
oh, should we do it internal or versus external?
Right.
That's a really good question, Sean. I would always recommend the external version because you don't have enough bandwidth.
Right.
One communication person to do this. We don't, even if we hired people, we don't have the bandwidth to do that. So what we're talking about, stories, social media, advertising, marketing,
Yeah, outsourced.
brand launch, there's a lot of horsepower that needed to be done. And so that is a whole nother campaign that's gonna require a whole nother budget, to launch it effectively.
I would like to, I agree,
Yeah.
but I would like to pause which one we go with, because after the playbook is done, I wouldn't be surprised after we do all the storytelling and digging, that we actually see an amazing wealth and population of students who could do a lot of this as well, as part of their curriculum. Whether, you know, the broadcast journalism course and so on, I'm not saying they do the whole thing, but I'm really impressed with what our students are already doing, and it'd be awesome once this kicks off, if, you know, some of your counterparts that wanna play a role in this to help facilitate it, just to complement whether it's an external resource or internal, to have that voice of the district. Listen, not from, you know, day to day, but just to have an add-on with resources, I think it'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm not along the same line of thinking. I think that this, in my thinking, there'll be a recommendation for that.
Right.
As part of this, is having not only students involved, but classes involved. At both high schools and maybe even middle schools, have them engaged at various levels of, not just writing stories, but the whole shebang, right?
They can take over TikTok. We can start doing it.
Exactly, there's so much to do, and probably do it a lot better than a company can do it, right? Because that's where they live.
Ted,
Yeah.
I have a question for you. On the, I'm thinking about in construction and architecture, you get an architect who draws up a set of plans for you, and all of a sudden you say you want to switch architects, they say time out, those are our plans. How do we ensure ourselves that what product that they do develop under this initial phase is ours to use with anybody else?
Yeah,
You know, from a
and
bid
great answer,
standpoint.
great question, great answer to that. So the architect, we're not changing plans, right? You wanna use that analogy, but we might hire a company outside the architect. You might hire an architect to create the blueprint, the work stops there. But you hire another company to actually execute the blueprint, right? So when I've had my house done, I've hired an architect, and that architect I'm not interested in that architect doing the construction of it. Now, you might have a company that does both architect and construction, and then you might wanna continue with them. But in this particular analogy, if you're hiring just an architect, they might not have the bandwidth to launch the campaign, just.
Oh, I doubt that, no, but my point is with an architect,
Yeah.
we run into an issue where, and we've run into this issue before, where they take time out, we gave you use of those plans, we didn't give you.
No, so we're buying the plans.
That's what I wanna
Plans
make
of the
sure is
district,
clear.
We own them, and however we
And
choose to do with whatever we.
Whatever we do in our RFP or whatever,
Yes.
that process is to be very clear that
Yeah,
that's.
that's the language that the district
That
has.
would go into the contract after you go into an agreement with their.
It's ours at that point. We own it.
Thank you.
Other thoughts, comments?
So we've covered a lot of this with the next step, with the RFP process. And we are a unit of government here at the school district. This subcommittee is not subject to the OMA, it's not really subject to that, a lot of the restrictions of the unit of government, but we do wanna look at the RFP process, which would be, Ted touched on it. We're not making the actual decision for the RFP. That would have to be at the board level or the administration level. But, Chris, if you could go through that process for everybody?
Yeah, certainly. So, there's a variety of different ways that we put an RFP out. A lot of times when it comes, with a product, right? So if you have a physical item that you're going to be doing, there's some governmental, workings that we generally always have to go through. And so you have to put something out for X amount of time, I believe it's about a month. You have to post on certain websites, we have to post on the local newspaper as well, so we always look at the Grosse Pointe News with that. And then we have to have that go, we call it onto the streets for a month. Now, in this situation, I think we might be able to do 2 weeks at the minimum, but that still might not be long enough. A lot of times it is always recommended to go about a month-long process because it allows companies the ability to really read through what that RFP is going to look like. The RFP really is telling companies what exactly it is that you're looking for. So it would be important for us to be working with people that either have created some type of template in the past or working with us as a team saying, yes, this is exactly the items that we want out there. Sean and Ahmed, I believe you guys had started something along those lines with Ted too, so that's a starting point that we can work with. A lot of times what we have done, so I'll just give you an example, on the bond side of things, like when we were purchasing interactive flat panels or anything like that, once that is out on the street, we create about an hour-long opportunity for anybody interested in bidding. We call it the pre-bid process questioning. So they can come to us and we just have this open forum and they can ask us some specific questions because we're rule followers with that. Like if somebody is asking us a specific question, one-on-one, we'll kind of just give them a blanket like, please come to our pre-bid process, right? Because anybody who's asking a question other companies should be able to receive that answer as well. And so that's what a pre-bid meeting is really helpful for. So you have that time, you have that pre-bid meeting, you're able to answer any of those questions. If you have to create, if you have to add some additional items onto the RFP, you can always do that a little bit later. But then you have a close date. And so let's just say that the close date is on, I'm gonna make up a date, November 25th at 1 p.m. You can accept everything until 1 p.m. If somebody comes in at 1:01, you don't take it, and trust me, you don't want to, right? You have to have those rules that are out there. That is open to the public for them to be able to see while you open them up. The only thing that you are reading out loud is the name of the company and the cost that they have put there, and then you close everything up, and then you meet as a team to really break down and sort of balance what it is that they were able to offer. You know, hey, they offered this price, but they didn't include X, Y, Z type of thing.
So, Chris, I definitely recommend a month, because I just was on the other side. I was hired by a local company that was bidding on a non-competing university out of state for developing their RFP. And it took a long time for us to create that RFP.
Sure.
And then go through the questions that were done by other bidders, and go through that and answer the questions. So it's definitely gonna take at least 4 weeks.
Right.
Well, I think another important thing, at least to me, is that somehow that you've got this brain trust sitting here that somehow we have to use that brain trust to develop it, because it's not a typical bid that we
Correct.
put out.
Yes.
It's a very atypical bid.
It's not for products and services.
Right.
It's a very,
It's a very hybrid type of bid we're putting out here, and I hope that there's some way you can involve the folks at this table here.
yeah,
Okay, good.
so through the process of the RFP, we talked about that this group would help develop
Good.
that RFP, and then we would push it on this.
Okay.
Well, specifically, how do you see that working?
Sure, so we have a starting point for an RFP, and if you guys are okay, we could, I know, I think I need to give it back to you, I'll send it back to you, and Chris, and then, Chris tends to. And we'll, and make sure that you guys are comfortable with it, maybe put your spin on it, then maybe to the group, number two.
The Google
And then-
document?
It's just a Google doc, yeah, so I'll, if you get it, I forget what, I think it was 17 pages or something, but we can go from 5 pages to, I think, over 50 pages. The one I was hired to do was, over 70 pages.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
about normal,
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
I mean, you are basically telling the company exactly what it is that you're looking for, and then so that they can respond to it in that way.
Exactly, and they're all gonna have questions, and we can't answer individual questions. We group them, and then we answer them to you,
Yeah.
you get them, you give them to us, we answer them, then give them back to you, and then you send them out to everyone, that's typically how it works.
And I would recommend to how this process goes, it is one person that is responding to any of those questions
Yeah.
that are happening out that way.
They should be having.
Exactly.
I won't answer any individual
Yeah.
questions, or anyone else should be answering any individual questions.
Yeah, so that's just
It
kind
all goes to
of
one
fairness
person.
in all the companies that go out that way.
Cause you want to have somebody have an unfair advantage,
Correct,
right,
correct.
right?
Yeah, we generally always like to go backwards in the school district as well too, so we always go, okay, what is the date that we would like the board to
Yeah.
vote on this?
Finish
And
the
then
start.
go backwards from that.
And we're not gonna be stealing anyone's signs, right?
What's that?
We're not gonna steal anyone's signs.
No.
We're not stealing
Not
signs,
stealing signs.
yeah.
Hey.
Is that a mission?
Okay, so would it work, we'll get the last RFP that we had put together, sent to you, Chris.
Mhm.
You guys will work on it, and then we could send a Google document that will go to everybody here for comment. Would that work?
We can do that. It gets a little cumbersome,
Sure.
unless we did it.
There's a comment feature on it. So if you have comments, just put your comments in the, if you haven't used Google Doc, just put your comments on the side.
That's true.
And you can put questions and comments, and we can get those answered for you.
Yeah, we can adjust it that way, that's fine. Is, Ted, just a question out loud to you, is, I don't believe I did see this one before. Is this based off of other school districts that have created
It
an
is not.
RFP before?
It's just based on their own experience.
Okay.
So it needs a lot of, not a lot of work, but it could be, there's a lot more, like, you're gonna have your district information that's not in there. Usually in every
Sure.
bid, there's a, boilerplate district,
Right.
and then you're gonna also add all of the rules and regulations and all of that. That's not in there, but you have them, so you just. There's other things that could be added as well. I didn't make it 70 pages, just because
Sure.
I don't know if it needs to be 70 pages, but I'm not opposed to more, a lot more.
Bigger type font.
What would be a good timeline for your team, Chris, to get that into your format?
To get the RFP back,
Yeah.
just to be able to present to the group?
Yep.
I'm a pretty nice.
Yeah, I, without knowing, I'd have to take a look. One of the things that I would like to ask though is if there are any other ISDs or any other local K-12 schools that have created something similar, just to kind of compare the two that's out there.
It's a problem of how to get those, right?
Yeah, exactly, because you just don't
They're not
know.
on the web, but
Right.
no one's gonna give you their,
Yeah.
their playbook.
There should be on Midnight though, do you guys know that?
Yeah, I haven't used that before.
So,
Yeah, we have a bid menu.
yeah, so if you go
Say
on
more.
Midnight, you can pull.
Depends what the service is. We've done other districts for other services. Food service, custodial services, busing, can you give us an example of your?
Marketing communications.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. It would help.
So to answer your question, Sean, I think we could have a, what would you be looking for, how about that?
Tomorrow.
Well, I'm trying to back into the next date. One thing I don't wanna lose is any of the enthusiasm for this project, and so, you know, I guess, is, meeting again in a couple of weeks, is it 2 weeks, is it 3? I'd look to, I mean, we have 2 homework assignments.
Sure.
Really, it's, Ted's exercise as well as once we get this RFP back, if there's any thoughts on that, I'd like to get all of that done before the next time we meet, which 2 to 3 weeks, I would think. And I'd try and work with everybody's schedule for that.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and I'll give you an answer to it, but that sounds somewhat reasonable. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for not saying Thursday or.
Well, yeah,
I'm a
Friday
little
night.
disappointed, I thought it would be for tomorrow, just saying. He does already assembly pages, that's all.
Right. So that'll be the next steps, and trying to back into your guys' timeline to get a next meeting date.
What was the homework assignment? Is it 2 weeks? Good? You guys do it 2 weeks?
Can I request for homework assignment? Because, in terms of adding on to it, so I live in, consumer personas, in terms of, you know, who's the consumer, who's buying the thing, who's doing the thing. I think it'd be really cool when we put this together to put on top like who we are. So lifetime Grosse Pointer, or new to the district, or teacher. I think it's really interesting because that car will have a different perception based on someone's experience in the district. Lived 20 years away, came back to me.
Would it help if I start a Google Doc with that information?
Yeah, so like if it, you
The
know, I
categories?
guess categorize us into
Yeah.
personas, because I think it'd be interesting to see like the Venn diagrams of what overlaps with.
Like an Excel?
Yeah, something like that, just to see
Other
who's
sheets.
where,
Okay.
like just to see the similarities incarnate based on category of community member
Yeah.
and their perception.
Great. Gonna put you on the spot here, Kevin. We, went around the room and just gave a brief, bio of each other, sort of nexus to the school system, just a brief statement about yourself.
Kevin Nugent, Grosse Pointe South, class of 1990. I've been a teacher for 25 years. 21 of those years were in East Point, high school, middle school, alternative ed, special ed. And I've been in Lakeview Public Schools for the last 4 years. I own a local business, Lakeside Baseball, that provides community service of training and indoor activities. And I've just been involved in all kinds of sports, athletics, coaching for the better part of 25 years, organizing and running youth organizations like Michigan League Volleyball Club, Lakeside Baseball, you know, all kinds of things, Team Michigan. So that's just kind of my avenue to this, has been just knowing and branding sports groups and organizations and coaching and being involved in the school system. And my wife's a teacher at Defer. And so I've just been in this community for a long time and just want to see us, you know, be the best we can be.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I have a share, Sean, I think you might know this about me. I don't have an emotional attachment to any community. I went to, and I had stated this in the questionnaire, I attended 8 elementary schools. I was a pillar to post child. And all of our teachers, and I'm 64. So back then,
Boy,
the only
you
thing that
aged
was
well.
important was education.
Good dear.
And so my attachment in this process is to just excellence in education.
Hallelujah.
I've only been here since 2011, and I hit the ground running. But when I look at where I came from and how many schools I attended, it was just, the leadership was excellent. And so that is my attachment, not to focus on, you know, how long we've been here. But what drove you? Like you were saying, this feeling. And I always had that feeling from the administrators and teachers. They had a demand upon us that we could excel. Didn't make a difference where you went. But if you have a good education, you will excel, if that's what you choose to do. So I just needed to add that. Sure that we do.
I'm glad you did.
A lot of people have excelled from this district and will continue to excel in this
Yes.
district. Our goal is to equate that,
Yes.
clarify that, and then broadcast it to the world.
Yes.
And that's what
And
we're gonna do.
if I could just add this,
Sure.
because it has to do with Grosse Pointe news, and then that newsletter that would come out. I don't have any children, but I would read that newsletter for this reason. No matter what I heard that was negative about the district. I would read that newsletter, and every Thursday and Saturday, I go through the Grosse Pointe News, and I turn to the sports section. And I look at all the amazing things that our students, our young people are doing, no matter what. And I said, this is who we are. Our children are thriving. So I just had to add that too.
Thank you. And I can give a quick example. So I live in Grosse Pointe Shores. I moved there 3 years ago, and about 3 years and 30 seconds after I moved in, I was tagged to be the communications chair for the city. And when I got there, it was just in bad shape. Lots of negativity, people fighting, arguing. You might have heard about the retiree health, taking away benefits, is a huge catastrophe. And so there's just, so I did a survey, a baseline survey. Baseline survey was ugly. Tremendous amounts of negativity, horrible feelings, perceptions. And so I set about to create, not a brand campaign because we couldn't afford it, but create my own personal communications campaign. And so improve the newsletter, improve the website, improve non-social media, we didn't even have social media. Did all these things to improve everything that we did. And 3 years later, I did the same survey to the same group of people, and it was like night and day. Night and day. The feelings of Grosse Pointe, of course, the pitbull team. But up into the pitbull problem that we had, the perceptions were night and day in terms of what the community was feeling, and went from almost 80% negative to less than 15% negative, just in 3 years. Just from that daily positive drumbeat of stories about people in the community, and all improvement in all those areas, and actual social media. So we launched Instagram and Facebook, and I started with one person to be on Facebook, and today it's 1,400 people, and the community is only 3,000. So one of 2 people are on that Facebook page. And so I've seen it here in the community, how you can dramatically change a conversation from really super negative to really super positive in just a couple of years if you do all those things right. And that's minus the brand campaign. So just doing the messaging, doing the stories, doing social media right, doing everything right really will impact the perceptions about our district. Guaranteed. Seen it done at the university level, I've seen it done at the community college level, where I was vice president, and I've seen it done in my own community. So I know this will work, so I want to thank everyone for participating in this process.
Great. Well, with that, let's if we could start with our students, and you don't have to say anything, but usually we end our meetings with any parting comments.
Oh, hi. I love all this, and I'm really thankful to be in the committee, but having some PR experience as well, I'm really big on, to your point, the feeling and the tone. And the challenge I feel that we still have a little bit as we set forth on a lot of work is to make sure that the community knows why we're doing this. So I don't think it would hurt us to have something we can all point people. In the meantime, we know that we're releasing on the website to do agendas and whatnot, but to use word bishop word of the why, it helps helps if you can just send people to something. Like when you think about a PR process, there's a statement of communication, like this is our stance on something. This isn't as negative, but if there's something that in the meantime, as you're printing through the RFP, if something's on the website with, why are we doing this? Or something of a general statement, Dr. Fenton, I think that'll help all of us just to level set and get folks on the same page and excited. We're doing it. Here it is. We're excited, and just call it a day versus having to defend it. Because to be frank, I've had to defend this for quite some time in the last few weeks, privately. And it's been tough.
You're not the only one.
I know.
I have to defend it to my family.
Right, saying I'm defending it to my 8th grade daughter, who likes to debate everything. So I think it'll help me personally at home. That would just, just food for thought if you can construct something in the next couple of years.
I also want to put out, I chair the community engagement, and we've spent a lot of time with Ted going over this and talking about it. And every time you open your mouth, I learn something new. So thank you so much. And it's just so nice to see a group of new faces here that are all excited about this, because I just think it's a great idea, and I thank you for leading this.
I echo what you said. I agree, having an elevator speech of some sort.
That's it. Thank you. Elevator
Yeah,
speech.
just so we have a, consistent, message, we're all saying the same thing. I think we'll go far.
And just to build off of that too, this district has such an amazing legacy, and I know talking to my friends and my family, my siblings went through it, and my brother just had his first daughter, they're considering like moving back or where they wanna go, and that's one of the things they are looking at is just where do we wanna settle, and the district has had ups and downs the past few years, so I think this is gonna be a great step, and looking forward to seeing what we come up with.
Totally forgive my naivete for a minute. Is this bad that we're on this committee? I guess I just don't know what we're defending.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What are we defending?
So you wanna know what the criticism is?
Yeah.
So the criticism is that why are you spending money on branding?
Okay.
When you don't
Money.
need branding, we already have branding.
Oh, got it, okay, yeah.
Because you don't understand the branding process.
Got it. That part, okay. Sorry for being naive on the money part.
There are 34 people that applied, so it's very popular.
Right, look, everybody here loves this district. I'm so honored to be a part of this, and, knowing that if you just do what's right and what you think, and Sierra, what you said about education and the importance of it, man, that's why we're here, right? I mean, my mom, I mentioned this at one of the meetings. I mean, single mom, she tried to move here to get the education. And when we moved to Grosse Pointe when I was 12 years old, it was like, we get to go to Grosse Pointe schools, and it was about the feeling, the feeling that you get. So how do we connect that feeling like that again? So that's why I'm here.
Well, I want to thank all of you for being here. The energy in here is awesome. And I'll have to take a sleeping medication now to go to bed tonight, because I'm all wound because you guys are good. And I think you guys are gonna do great things, and I just appreciate everybody's effort. And all of you have such positive energy. It's wonderful to be around. Thank you.
I felt that same way when I walked in. I was like, wow, this energy feels so good. So, my parting comment is, it works. Branding, it works. I just was part of one with the Family Center, and 23 people, board members sat there, and when the company unveiled, we all said, wow. You had mentioned the colors. We were all just amazed at how lovely the branding, the whole process went. So we got out of their way, let them do their thing. We had a couple of meetings where they came back and showed us where they were. And each step, I remember when the amount came up in the board meeting, people were like, that's so much, that's so much. When I think about what's happening here, I just hope 50,000 is enough, because this is huge. this is wonderful. And I think, we all are gonna be smiling at the end of the day.
Your lips to God's ears. I think it's wonderful.
I also want to thank everybody for being here. As people sometimes ask me why I ran for the school board, why am I on the school board, and I often will say, I mean, the school system is the single most important entity in the Grosse Pointes and Arbor Woods. It impacts the most people. I mean, by far the largest budget, all the cities combined, it's larger, employees, teachers impact our students, our families, our administration does, every single part of it does, and I just wanted to, help and be a part of it as well. And, so everybody here is going to be a part of that same effort, and, I think continuing, this effort is, as I talked with Ted, I think it is one of the most important projects that, I'll accomplish ever on the board, and so thank you for everybody participating.
I really didn't have any knowledge, so thank you for enlightening all of us, everybody with your knowledge in the room, because that's really amazing. Having started my career here and kind of as pendulum swing in education and where we're at today and where we started, and thinking of all the great, amazing teachers that I was able to, as I was coming up, tap into my the wisdom that they had, they share with, and still to this day, like, we're so blessed to have that. I would say, kind of up until tonight, I didn't really have a judgment on branding or any thoughts really, and I learned so much, and I'm looking forward to it. At Wayne State, I studied as my big concentration for my PhD in educational policy, with a focus on how sense making happens in organizations. So essentially, here's what we're doing. How does it filter through in our everyday lives? Like interactions in the classroom with the teacher, with the kids, calling the secretary, like you guys kind of mentioned. And I really am like sitting here and really thinking this is the missing piece for our organization of sense making. And what happens from here down into, little people underneath us every day is, like you said, the only thing that matters. I'm looking forward to that electrifying thing, because I do believe everyone is ready for kind of that pendulum to kind of swing. And it hit me that that's the thing that's missing, that's been missing since I learned about this, and I think about our organization. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much for allowing me to serve on this committee. It's been nice to see people and meet people this evening. I know very little about marketing. I happen to be an expert in education and an expert in Grosse Pointe Public Schools, and I'm all in. Like, I'm a parent, my kid's here, anything I can do to help improve the perception and versus the reality of our district, I'm willing. So I appreciate everyone. Thanks.
You guys, I have learned, your passion, I sit here and I have like tears in my eyes, so I love it. I am just honored to be here. I appreciate and value and respect everything from this side especially, and I agree. I lead a committee of about 30 people myself, and to make sure that we're successful, we all need to have the same elevator spiel or whatever you guys said, and that's what I preach to my committee, and it shouldn't have to be something that we have to write down and remember. It's a feeling. So I already know what car I'm picking based off, because I have memories from this one car with my family when I brought all my kids home in it, and that's me. So for me, my feelings are always out there. I'm an open book. I know I will bring to the table everything I can here, and I am so excited. I learned so much. But for me, I love hearing from the young ladies from the high school about opening up more of the opportunities aside from athletics, because I think there's a lot to be proud of. So I thank you, everyone. I'm very excited. I hope you sleep tonight.
You can take another 3 minutes.
I know. Yeah, so thank you for having me.
Please don't tell my wife that I almost made somebody cry tonight.
Oh no, I love it. I'm just emotional. I'm a big feelings person, so I was
could
Same.
listen to you all day. I love it. I love it.
I also want to
I
thank
need a pillow.
Yeah.
Very inspirational.
I also want to thank everyone for coming, it's really an honor and pleasure. I was just thinking as you were talking, there's one more example that I used in my classroom. I was part of a review process by a group in Michigan that you might be familiar with, the Tourism Bureau. And they had this, this new brand campaign that they were going to launch, and they wanted to know what branding experts thought about it. And so I reviewed it, being a lifelong Michigan. Did they get it right? Did they get it right? It was 2 words, and I heard the words, and I said they got it right. And that led to become the most successful state branding campaign in the history of the United States. It beat I Love New York, it beat What Happens in Vegas Stays in Vegas.
Pure Michigan.
Pure Michigan.
I have those. What is it?
When I heard
Pure
Pure Michigan,
I
what
heard
do you
those.
think about it?
I love it.
And more importantly than that, they went through the process. The
I
first
love it.
slogan that the company came back was, true up north. It wasn't pure Michigan, it was true up north. And they came back with, they said, well, Canada would slaughter us, because they're the true up north, we're not the true up north. But keep that feeling and come back to us with something else. So they didn't get it right the first time, but they hit a Grand Slam plus on the second time with the most successful tourism campaign ever. Everyone, pure Michigan. So, does it work? Do you know if it works? Yeah, you know if it works here. It does. So, I'm gonna leave you with that thought. I think I will be being off with the district. I know you guys worked long, hard hours. Thank you so much. Teachers,
What about?
and everyone else in the committee. It's really an honor for you to be here. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity of being on this committee. I'm happy to ride the coattails of all the really bright people that are here. It seems like there's so much experience in this room, and honestly, I just hope to contribute. I can say this, like, better part of my senior year summer was just going up to the high school and hanging out, making that part of like a meetup or being around. And I just remember being like, one of the best nights I had was coming back from Michigan State my freshman year with all my friends from MSU and showing them around Grosse Pointe and showing them the high school and just feeling like watching them and how they're like, wow, this would have been a great place. I wish I had grown up in a place like this. And I just felt like overwhelmed. But I knew it. I knew it the whole time I went to high school. I knew it afterward. I know it now. Like, we have the premier school system. We just gotta get some people on the lot. And we gotta make sure that we get people here and seeing it and branding it.
Clarify.
And, yeah.
What we need to do
Oh,
is clarify.
clarify.
We know who
Sorry.
we are.
Yeah.
Just clarify.
Exactly. And get people to see the same things we see on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna repeat what I already said, but the answer is always yes, let's, make the district better.
Well, hold on, we gotta talk about things.
There goes our budget.
Talk to me first.
Thank you.
So I didn't grow up here, as I will say that, but I love that my children have the opportunity to just get lost in this neighborhood, go ride their bikes, and go on adventures and just have wonderful times. And as an educator and having worked in the school district, the number one thing that we're always thinking about is what's best for kids. And I specifically think about the 4 that live in my household that I send to the school district. And that's always my drive. And I love that we're gonna have the opportunity to continue to share the stories with others that want to come into this wonderful place. So looking forward to the conversations and the action that we're gonna take here.
And I wanna end it by saying thank you everybody for coming tonight. This is exciting, and let's get rolling.